Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time once again for Radio Tokyo. We have not been on the air in nearly a decade. I am so sorry. Real life got real for me. Anyway, those of you who have heard the show before, you know it used to be a daily show Monday through Friday, hour and a half, 2 hours. Now it's going to be an hour long format, and it's me and my co host, who I'll introduce in a moment, and I'm waiting to introduce him because he comes second to me. You all know this. It's great. I'm wonderful. I'm amazing. I'm kidding. Seriously. We're here to have a good time, here to have a lot of fun, and talk about some topics that we all care about, like today's topic, exactly how much Spider-Man sucks. I'll be on the awesome side, the winning side, and my co-host here, Nick. Nick, tell you what, just explain your side to everybody listening and why it is you think Spider Man is amazing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick, and I'm the new star of the show, of course. Jonathan's invited me over here because he knows he needs a little help to see the light of why Spider Man is probably one of the most relatable and best superheroes that there is in any of the universes of comic books or superhero. Um, let's see. Spider-Man, number one, easily one of the most relatable superheroes. He's the reluctant hero, the one who has to grow into his powers to realize why he needs to use them for good. He's had tragedy in his past. He's grown from them. He doesn't linger on them for all time, like someone that I'm sure my friend's going to bring up in the future. Um,
Oh, wait, are you still talking? I'm sorry. I completely fell asleep because Spider Man is objectively worse than every other superhero. At least in the movie universe. In the comics, he's okay. But you know what? Most people don't read the comics, so just keep this, keep your Spider Man fanboy to the five movies and two reboots that we've already had, and the next one coming in the time that we've had 14 years of the X Men. Because, yes, I'm talking about the X Men. The same comic and movie universe. They're both Marvel. They're both amazing, but you like Spider Man. Whatever. Anyway, you were saying? I'm sorry. I had to interrupt you with some actual facts.
Now, I will admit that of the Spider Man movies, the last two have not been great. The third one, of course, never existed in the first place because that was so incredibly bad that I just would rather not acknowledge that it even exists. However, the first two were the premier comic book movies of their time, and possibly the reason that we have so many great comic book movies now. If you think about it, what other great comic book movies were there before Spider-Man 1 and 2?
X Men.
Not that great. I'm sorry. It was good for what it was, but not
It's
the
good for what
level
we
of
have now.
it is not the level of epicness I will put into words.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It
Not the
started
first
the
X-Men.
career for Hugh Jackman. Spider Man, at least the ones that we all agree are good up until Tobey Maguire's dancing skills. Um, X
His
Men started the
non-existent
career
dancing
for
skills.
Hugh Jackman. He was virtually unknown in the United States. I've never heard you acknowledge this. I mean, he's beloved by people from all genres now
I
because
I
put on
admit
the
Hugh
what?
Jackman is a great Wolverine, and it did very much help his career. However, that doesn't mean that the movie was as important or as great as the Spider-Man series.
So you're saying that it's not important enough, even though it literally started Hugh Jackman's career.
It did, but you also have to remember that X-Men trailed off towards the end at the third movie, just like Spider-Man did. And possibly X-Men 2 was the biggest, I would say, of the franchise. Um, But really, there was nothing on the scale of Spider-Man 1 and 2. X-Men was popular, it did well, but it was not the big blockbuster that the studios were looking for in comparison to the Spider-Man movie franchise in the beginning. Now, of course,
Hang
they
on.
ruined
Okay.
the Spider-Man franchise later on, but I'm saying the first two were so good and so important that they have revitalized comic book movies as we know them.
Okay, so just for clarification, you are not talking about the most recent two with whatever his name is, Andrew Garfield.
Andrew
You're not
Garfield.
talking about them. You're
No.
talking about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Only the first two, of course, not the horrible, horrible third one, which hurts my soul that it exists.
But the third one is pretty cool because it has the Sandman and like I'm
Okay,
sorry, I'm
the
sorry,
first.
I'm sorry. In defining moments in comic books, like I mean comic book movies rather, the Sandman's introduction, that's amazing. It's
Okay,
really
I
cool.
will admit that one part of the movie, it had a strong beginning, but then it just evolved so quickly. And then we got Tobey Maguire dancing, emo Tobey Maguire, a terrible version of Spawn, and when we got,
Spawn was not in Spider-Man.
I mean, not
Spawn
Spawn,
had his own movie, and the Spawn movie was not that bad,
actually, the
except
Spawn movie
for
was great.
now incredibly dated CGI.
I'm sorry, I'm tired, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're talking about Venom,
Yes,
everyone's
Venom.
favorite villain in Spider-Man. That yes,
Forgive me, I know who Venom is. It's just I've barely slept
no,
the last
no,
few nights.
no, no.
I'm never gonna live that
No
one down.
forgiveness. There is no forgiveness on Radio Tokyo. I'm
I'm never
sorry.
going to live that down. Venom, a terrible version of Venom.
Thank
And
you.
then we had, was it even the Hobgoblin, or was he even the Hobgoblin, or was he just a reincarnation of the Green Goblin?
I
I
believe he
was
was the
confused about
first
that.
Hobgoblin.
I mean, he should have been the Hobgoblin, but I'm really confused about that.
What's to be confused about? It's your favorite superhero.
Well, either way, Spider-Man 3 is so terrible. As you can see, I literally don't even want to think about it because I mixed up Venom with a far better movie in Spawn. I actually like the Spawn movie a lot.
You did. You did mess it up. Now let me completely destroy Spider-Man for you. Staying with the X-Men. I've already mentioned that we have Hugh Jackman's entire career about it, and I'm including his questionable movies with appearances as Wolverine, and by that I mean X-Men Origins Wolverine, which seems to be universally fucking reviled. I'm not sure why. It's fantastic. We got Deadpool in it. Oh wait, it wasn't Deadpool. It was Ryan Reynolds trying to be Deadpool. Ten, no, nearly however long ago it was anyway. But now we're getting the actual Deadpool movie. I'm excited for that. That's cool. He's going to be Deadpool. Yay! Actual Deadpool, not original Deadpool. But
But the
no, that's
Deadpool movie is not because of the X-Men movie. It's because of the new popularity of Deadpool.
yeah. But Deadpool is popular, other than comic book fans, because of the movie. And there's a
I would
reason. There's a
say
reason.
that Deadpool is purely popular because of the comic book fans. I really haven't heard of him referenced in the movie. I see his
He's
comics posted all the time.
X-Men Origins Wolverine, along with Sabretooth, and of course Wolverine, and about 19 other background characters from the X-Men that no one really gives a shit about. I'm
I'm not
sorry.
saying I'm not saying he wasn't there. I'm just saying that I don't think that was his popularity. How long
Well,
ago did that movie come out?
I don't know. long time ago. But see, the
Like,
reason I'm saying, the reason I'm
and
saying
when
this
wait
part,
wait
the
what
reason
wait,
I'm
wait
hang on, hang
when
on.
did you recently see Deadpool being really popular? Like 2 or 3 years ago?
He's still popular right now among certain people, but no, like he would not have been in the movie, and people would not have wanted the Deadpool movie because, surprisingly, the X Men screwed him up. Now let me turn back to Spider Man for a minute. You know, and has anyone in any Spider Man movie, hero, villain, whatever, ever gotten a spin-off? No. You know why? Because Spider-Man sucks. I'm sorry. The
Well,
greatest the greatest villain that was portrayed in any Spider-Man movie at all, unquestionably, is Doctor Octopus. That's even over whoever else they had. I've forgotten everyone else because the portrayal of Doctor Octopus was so amazing. He was
it,
just a person who had mechanical arms, and he went toe to toe with Spider Man, who can easily lift, 6, 8, 10 tons, whatever. Spider Man could have killed him, and the fact that Spider Man's 34 punches is cool. I like that. That's neat. But
it
past
was
Doctor
Spider-Man
Octopus,
2 was my favorite movie by far.
But like past Doctor Octopus, Spider-Man movies suck. I'm sorry. There's nothing favorable in it. Like I said earlier, 5 movies, 2 reboots, and there is a third reboot on the way. And in that time, we have had, what is it, 7 or 8 X-Men movies? It's been 14 years now. Hugh Jackman's had a whole career. He's even done musicals where he sang, and people are kind of iffy about that. I don't know why. Personally, I thought Les Miserables was fantastic, but I like the book, I like the musical, whatever. Anyway, you've had 14 years of that, and there's been, see, in that 14 years, 2 Hulk reboots, 2 Spider-Man reboots, and I forget what else. Oh wait, one Batman reboot, one Batman. Except Batman does not need a reboot because he's Batman. And
Well,
oh wait,
technically, there's going to be 2 reboots with the new Batman versus Superman.
no, no, no. Batman vs Superman is Batman pre-established. He has been Batmaning for X amount of time. He's been going around Gotham, being cool and amazing. That's why he has all the cool shit you see in the trailer. Now, Superman, on the other hand, we had the failed movie that I didn't even bother to see. I'm sorry, Superman Returns, I think it was, where it was one of the first times in film where they really, really, really tried to push the Superman being the allegorical Jesus, which they completely and utterly did in the Man of Steel. To where they wouldn't even call him that. It's just, I mean, like here, okay, just basic list of reasons why Superman is Jesus. Okay, they're both from a faraway place. They're both orphaned. They both have mystical fathers who speak to them in some sort of way. Oh, and they absolutely, at some point in time in their career, have had a light shining behind them with their arms spread out. And if you don't believe me, go watch The Passion of the Christ and you'll see him being nailed to the cross. Which portion of the Bible? That's amazing. Whatever. Anyway, you'll see him nailed to the cross, and then watch Man of Steel, and it's also in Superman Returns. He's flying back for somebody in this cruciform position. Superman is Jesus. I'm sorry, but he's going to get his ass beat by Batman because Batman is cooler than Spider-Man even. And I don't know why everyone, by everyone I mean just you, thinks Spider-Man's cool. No, he's Spider-Man. No one gives a shit.
But see, okay, this brings up an interesting point for me. Um, I have, and I looked into this because we've argued about this before about Superman, right?
Yeah.
Um, I have kind of looked into this a lot, and apparently there are 2 versions of Superman. at least in respect to the readers and to the writers. There is that the Superman is a god among men and trying to figure out how to deal with that. And then there's the version that Superman is supposed to represent the humanity of man, and that he's actually the most human of men, even though he is an alien. Now, I
Hang on a minute.
actually,
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Superman himself has referred to Batman as the most human of men. Well, not exactly the most human. He
well, he
referred
didn't
to
say the
him
most
as the
human,
most
he said he was the
dangerous.
most dangerous human.
Yeah, but that's
That
because
doesn't, that
Batman
doesn't
is
mean he's the
nothing
most
other
human,
than a
though.
man.
But that doesn't
Batman is
mean he's the
a
most
man.
human. However,
Batman is a man.
that's fine. I never disacknowledge that. But in my opinion, and perhaps this is me growing up from the '90s cartoon Superman. Remember that?
Yeah, I do actually.
That was my primary introduction to Superman and the Christopher Reeves movies to somewhat, but my primary introduction to Superman was through the '90s cartoons, which were pretty popular back then. Just like the '90s Batman cartoons was my primary introduction to him. But anyways, from watching those, from seeing those portrayals of Superman, it was usually my impression, my understanding that Superman was primarily not he we all know he has godlike powers. That's indistinguishable. That he pretty much can beat anyone, and that it's just a matter of him figuring out how to do it without killing someone, pretty much.
Yeah.
But my impression of Superman has always been that he is supposed to represent the ideals of humanity. That he's supposed to be the model that we're supposed to look up to, and that we're not supposed to view him as a god, which is why I and you warned me about this actually with the Man of Steel movie, but I was hoping they were going to go into a
Yeah.
different direction with this. But when I saw the Batman vs Superman trailer, I absolutely hated it because that is not the Superman I want to see portrayed. I do not want to be Superman being worshipped as a god or have people trying to follow him or whatever is going on. We'll see more once it starts. And it was so incredibly disappointing to me. And maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll turn around. Maybe the movie will be better than I think it is. But the direction that DC is going in is incredibly the wrong direction to me.
How so? How so? Because see, if you're going to start talking about how, I'm assuming you're wanting to say bad the new Batman versus Superman movies are going to be. Let me explain it to you this way: it's a false god because I mean, see in the trailer, the statue is labeled as false god and everything,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
literally put that in your face.
yes, but it's Batman who is a human. He has no special powers. As the comedy skit that I cannot remember for the life of me who did this. I'm sorry, but the it was on College Humor, I think. Anyway, where Batman said, "I have no special powers. I'm just rich and nuts." That's Batman. Batman's a human being, and Superman,
Although,
with all his amazing powers, I don't get it, but for years there's been this debate about how Superman and Batman, and if they thought Superman would win. No shit. Superman would win because all he has to do is punch Batman one time, but he doesn't. He holds himself back, and there is the I cannot remember the exact name of the comic, but it's several years in the future, and Batman's kind of old, and he has like a tank that he drives around now, and
This
he has.
movie, that comic wasn't canon, was it? I don't think it was canon.
I don't know really, but anyway, he's got basically the equivalent of Tony Stark's Hulkbuster armor, and it's to
Yeah.
fight Superman. And really, all Batman has to do is be smarter than Kal-El. That's really all he has to do. And I mean, that's kind of easy to do because we're talking about someone who says, "Oh, look, I have glasses. I'm gonna put them on. I'm a different person." No, no, parting your hair on the other side and putting on glasses may make you look different, but any dumbass will know who you are, which is awkward because in the Man of Steel they had this exact issue. Lois Lane, of course, knows who he is, but no one else seems to, and it's strange. But Batman, he does the Batman voice, and he has the mask, and he has his cool toys and everything. But no, he's smarter than Superman is, and he's smarter for damn sure than Spider-Man is, because Spider-Man's whole justification is with great power comes great responsibility. No, we know
Hey,
this, and the
hey,
reason
hey,
we
hey!
know,
Spider-Man is actually quite brilliant. You're at least in the comics and to somewhat in
no,
the TV series. The movies,
no,
it doesn't really show him off. Actually, the new movies showed off Spider-Man's intelligence way more than the old movies, which is something I didn't like about the old movies. Is they didn't
Spider-Man's
show.
intelligent, but in the first movie, he has to walk into a lab to speak to Kurt Connors. That stupid-looking lizard we got. The horrible CGI. I mean, brilliant performance as Kurt. I love the actor who portrayed him, but no, like there's a scene where Pete walks into the lab and he's like, "Hi, Doctor Connors. You hear me? Oh yes, I remember you. You're Peter Parker. I knew your father." This is my approximation of the voice. Anyway, they have this little discussion, and Pete asks him these questions about lizards, knowing that Kurt Connors works with lizards, and he asked him about this formula that could magically regenerate a limb. And anyone who has eyes and a functioning brain, excuse me, anyone who has eyes and a functioning brain knows that when Kurt Connors becomes a lizard, he magically regenerates a limb. And there's this monster that Peter Parker just fought walking around in a lab coat and pants that looks a lot like what Kurt Connors has to wear, and he doesn't seem to put two and two together until Connors has left. I don't remember whether he scratches himself or what, but you can see like the scales on his neck and head and everything.
Mm,
And he turns and walks out, and Peter's like, "Oh, well, I just don't know what I'm going to do." "Oh, what's that noise?" Walks like two or three steps, and there it is on the floor, a giant monster rat eating a baby rat, and it looks at him, and it's like, "Oh, man, I sure am smart." No, Spider-Man is stupid. I'm sorry, he's stupid. I realize in the comic books, and in the new movies, they went the route of trying, to do like the mechanized web shoot and everything, but that doesn't work for me because Spider-Man is about becoming an adult. It's what it's about. It's someone going through puberty, becoming adult, and that was very, very, very heavy-handed. I guess is the correct what phrase I'm looking for in the Tobey Maguire movies. Particularly the scene where he's in his room and he wakes up or whatever it is. It's like spider webbing going everywhere. You know, Yes,
That
yes,
was one of the most hilarious scenes.
it is,
And
but it works. It works. But
you are right. You are right. Spider-Man is about becoming a man, evolving from a teenager to a man.
that's
But
right. That's right.
but
Which
which is
is
his thing. But that doesn't mean that he isn't also a brilliant person because and this is relying on the comics much more than the movies. But in the comics, they often say that he's um probably on the level of Tony Stark or among the smartest heroes in the Marvel universe.
well, he could be smart. Like I mean, it. There are different portrayals of his overall intelligence, but just the way he's presented in the movies is he's
Yes,
not that smart.
I
But
will
see,
give you that. I will
but
give
see,
you that.
what I actually like about the Tobey Maguire ones is, his motto: "With great power comes great responsibility." They show, like I said, Spider-Man's about becoming an adult. It's about becoming a grown man. It's about becoming responsible for what you need. And let's say great power. Well, you join the military, you're able to vote, you can get a job, you can have a car, whatever. But you have to have responsibility. You got to be able to pay your bills and everything. And Spider-Man applies that to becoming, oh, well, first I'm going to be a dumbass and I'm going to go be a wrestler when I should be in school. And I respect my Uncle Ben so much, I'm just going to do what he says to do. And I'm going to go, be a wrestler because I need the money. No,
Mhm.
what you should have done there, buddy, is you should have listened to your Uncle Ben because now Uncle Ben is dead. And we have had Uncle Ben dying in all
Two
the reboots
movies.
of Spider-Man because for some reason they cannot seem to get away. I do not know why, but they cannot
Because
seem to get
Sony
away
is a
from
terrible studio and it makes terrible movies. And the one thing that Marvel should have never ever done, which we both agree on, is to sell the rights to Spider Man, to Fantastic Four, and X Men. Because
Marvel should not have sold the rights to anything. Which it, actually, by the way, that does lend credit to me because my stance is that Spider-Man sucks. I don't believe I said it earlier, but Spider-Man sucks because Marvel dropped the ball and DC does better. It doesn't matter whether you like the Batman movies or Superman movies, which is all we've really gotten so far. But there is from what I understand, a fairly fantastic show that was put out by Netflix for Daredevil, which makes up, in my opinion, for the movie. And just as a side point here,
I've seen the
um,
Daredevil show. It is very, very good. Also, it's oddly one of the most sympathetic villains that I've ever seen. You actually feel really bad for Kingpin throughout.
what if, like trying to stay on topic here, what if, uh,
There's
you
so many
know,
movies that it's hard to stay on topic, honestly.
I know there are, but we are about 40 minutes into this and trying to keep it an hour. So we may have to continue next week. I don't know. But anyway, let me get this in first. Um, since all of this stuff is supposed to be connected, particularly in the Marvel universe, and they have their grand timeline there, the initial Daredevil movie is for some reason not on that timeline. I don't know if that was
It's
intentional.
it
I
is.
think it was.
They show it in the TV show. It's after the attack on New York, after the alien invasion. So it's after the first Avengers movie.
Okay, well, let's just, clump all this stuff together, and I'm going to make an evil statement about that super amazing Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. What if when they're standing there on the rooftop like morons, and of course, Daredevil has his super hearing, and he hears, this mugging going on. What if that was Uncle Ben being attacked? And he just stood there like, oh, well, I got to get me some of that nice Jennifer Garner ass.
Which I'm not
Daredevil
sure that
sucks.
I'm not sure that I could fault him for that.
That's what I'm saying. Daredevil sucks. And Spider-Man sucks because, like I said, he was not there doing what he was doing. He was not exercising great responsibility. Now, clearly, he has great power because he can lift, something like 6 tons or whatever it is. But he was not exercising great responsibility in doing what he had to do. He was supposed to meet Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben would not be dead if Peter Parker was not a complete loser.
But then that's part. But I would say that's why Spider-Man is great because he is not perfect in the beginning, which is incredibly relatable to people. Which is another problem I have with the DC universe, is that their heroes tend to be almost perfect in some sense or another, which
They
is
are.
which is
DC is
incredibly
better than Marvel.
unrelatable. But wait. That makes them completely hard to relate to. I would say that Spider-Man is a much more relatable character than either Superman or Batman. Batman,
Why?
you have who is okay. Who among us is a filthy rich playboy that can buy whatever they want and just do whatever they want?
Well, there's something like about 1,000 billionaires in the United States. I don't know off the top of my head. It's some low number. So,
All
but
right.
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang
No,
on.
wait. Let me
You
just finish my point.
don't need.
Let me finish my point. All
You
right.
don't. But hold on. You don't need to be filthy rich to be Batman.
Yeah, you do.
No, you actually don't. It takes a grand total, excluding making or buying a the Batmobile, Batplane, Batcopter, uh,
No. I'm going to include all of those.
the Bat Star
I'm at
propellant,
I'm
whatever
at
else you need.
I'm at least going to include the Batmobile at the very least.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be about $500,000 to be Batman.
Okay, how many of us have $500,000?
Well, I don't know, but you could win the lottery and be Batman. Now,
Right. So we're
now,
talking
now,
about
now,
maybe 5% of America.
well, see, like
Maybe.
the only problem with Batman is that to be Batman, obviously you have to be sustainable, and there's only. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Bruce Wayne, but he's not immortal, which is why I think it's great. It's absolutely great that the Batman Beyond series was brought about,
Oh,
and
did
you
you
see
hear what they're
Batman
going to do with the Batman Beyond series? They're completely changing it, or no? What were they? They're going to kill off. What's his name?
Bruce Wayne,
No. The
Terry,
guy that was, huh?
Terry.
Yeah, they're going to kill
Well,
off Terry and put um. Who's Bruce's son?
Damien.
It was either Damien or one of the other Robins is going to take over Batman Beyond.
Well, I think most of the other Robins are dead.
Well, yeah, it's very funny. Children dying is very funny.
It is. I'm sorry.
You are a terrible person. You are a
I
terrible.
am. I am. But just okay. Just think about.
Oh, no, wait. They're killing off Terry. Terry.
Oh, well, that sucks. But no. Like, see, okay. Here's the reason I laugh about Robin dying. I'm sorry. Like when I was little, I watched the re-airing of Adam West and Burt Ward, and Robin was kind of a joke. He still is. I'm sorry. But when he was introduced in Batman, the animated series, he was kind of cool. I liked him there. But then he grew up and became Nightwing, like he does in the comics and everything. And I remember distinctly seeing the first comic where the original death of Robin took place, and it was kind of sad, because Batman's holding him, and there's like a spotlight on him, and there's blood everywhere, and it was sad. But then they completely redid that, and they had the Joker beat a Robin to death. Which I'm sorry, no, wait, that was that time. Never mind. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That was Joker beating him to death. And if you watch, I believe it's Under the Red Hood. I don't remember. Yeah, it is. It
Oh,
is. It
that
is.
might be the guy that took over Red Hood. I think it's Red Hood. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
But
I have to
anyway,
look it up later.
if you watch Under the Red Hood, there is a phenomenally done scene with John DiMaggio voicing the Joker, and he asks Robin, which of these hurts worse, forehand, boom, or backhand, boom. I like John DiMaggio, and he does a really good Joker, and it's a good scene to me, which is like it. But like, I mean, hearing him, clearly he is not Mark Hamill's Joker, but he has this, slight. It's like hearing Bender in a human form. Same actor, or
Yeah.
Jake, not Jake from State Farm, but Jake from Adventure. Anything else? I mean, you hear John DiMaggio, and his laugh is like this raspy laugh, and it's amusing, because like the last time you see Robin is he's looking up and he's grinning at him like, ha ha ha, you're not gonna kill me. Of course, as we all know, Robin lives and he becomes the Red Hood. But yeah, that is still better in every way than Spider-Man because that is more relatable. Spider-Man is unrealistic. I'm sorry, particularly when you get to the point in time where like in the recent movies where he builds his little web shooters. I know that's comic accurate, but again, in the Tobey Maguire movies, they showed the process of Peter Parker becoming a man, and like it was a natural thing. He naturally produced his webbing, and the storyline that was supposed to take place that they kind of show in Spider-Man 3 is as Peter Parker becomes an adult, he starts to lose his ability to climb on walls and shoot webs and have super strength and everything because he's become an adult. It's about going through puberty. Literally, how can who wants to extend being in puberty, that awkward development stage where you're like, oh, look at me, I'm cool. Oh, well, my voice has changed. Like stuff like that. Who wants to do that? Really? I mean, it's cool, to pretend to be Tarzan and fling, webbing everywhere. But think about this: how much money has Spider-Man cost the taxpayers of New York
Oh,
just
do
for
not bring that argument up because I will talk about the Superman movie and Man of Steel and how much money he caused in damage.
I'm just talking about, Spider-Man's webbing for right now.
Or how
Because,
about Batman when when he destroyed the subway system and a good chunk of that city.
oh, you mean the subway that his parents built?
Yeah, but he still, how much money did that cost the taxpayers?
I don't know.
People
How much money?
individually
I mean, like, how much money did it
compared to
cost
cleaning
for
up a
the
few
people?
webs? Compared to cleaning up a few webs?
Yeah, but think about this. How much did Peter Parker going through puberty cost the taxpayers? Because Batman is at least understandable. Batman is arguably insane. Okay, I will admit that. But when you look at his backstory versus Peter Parker, Batman is a little bit more relatable.
I
Uh,
would not say that.
oh, so you're saying okay? They're both orphans. We get that. They're both raised by an elderly person. Like that's clearly established. So let's
Yeah.
just look at the story from there. Um, Batman's parents were both murdered, and he wanted justice. Not vengeance exactly. He because he was a kid. As a kid it was vengeance. As an adult it became justice, and he realized that the justice system in Gotham particularly was corrupt and was never going to find him. It was never going to find the person who killed his parents. Okay, now you have Peter Parker, who again, allegory for uh, puberty. His Uncle Ben is killed after he has been exercising severe negligence and off doing wrestling when he should have been studying, and it was more important for him to study. But no, he goes off and plays at something else that didn't matter, and it did it and he shouldn't have done it at all. Sorry,
Wait,
Peter,
wait,
shouldn't
wait,
have done it.
wait, wait, wait. Let's go back to Dark Knight Returns, because if we examine Bruce Wayne, he negligently vanishes from the city for a number of years, leaving the business that his parents built in order to help Gotham in the hands of greedy corporate management that turned his company into something that hurts the city more than helps, number one. Number two, let's see. Batman, growing up, was completely rich with no worries at all, other than just, being
Yeah,
Batman or Bruce Wayne, whatever you want to say. Peter Parker, on the other hand, grew up pretty poor, had to work, had to, survive, which is completely relatable to at least 90% of America.
yeah,
Um, so we're looking at a Batman who was completely rich, well off, pampered, taken care of by everyone,
yeah.
who had access to any kind of training he wanted, any kind of equipment he wanted, anything he wanted, compared to Spider-Man over here, who had to work, to struggle, to come up on his own, make his own way. You're going to tell me that Batman is more relatable than Peter
Yes,
Parker?
yes, I am. Yes, I actually am. The reason being,
You are
and
a crazy person, just like Batman.
no, the reason being,
Well, you are a
and
crazy person.
and I really hate to bring reality into this. The justice system is not perfect. It works, but it works because it's what we have, at least here in the United States. And since we're talking about something in the United States here, which is where Batman and Spider-Man are at, it's the justice system isn't perfect, and he wanted justice for his parents because it was wrong for them to have been murdered for no reason. There was literally no reason for Thomas and Martha Wayne to have died. Now, you can say, well, there's literally no reason for Uncle Ben to have died, and I'll agree with you on that. However, and again, we are almost at the end of our hour, so this may be the last point we get to make for this week's show. But, um, excuse me, you can argue that Uncle Ben dying was unnecessary. It's true, but look at cause effect. Let cause and effect here.
Well,
Uh,
then we could say that Peter or Batman's parents dying was necessary.
it wasn't necessary. It really wasn't. But here's the thing, and here is the difference between this. Uh, Thomas and Martha Wayne died when Bruce was about 10 years old or so, and when Peter Parker's Uncle Ben died, that he was 17, 18. Big age difference here, clearly. But anyway, um, what what you have happening is uh, Bruce's parents didn't need to die. Period. You can bring up whatever cause and effect you want to. Like they have to die or he doesn't become Batman. Whatever. No, Thomas and Martha Wayne did not have to die. They were willingly giving over uh, their wallets and purses and jewelry and everything. They didn't need to die. I'm sorry. Uncle Ben didn't need to die. However, Uncle Ben most likely would not have been carjacked if Peter Parker had bothered to be where he was supposed to be, which was at school studying. Spider
Well,
Man
actually,
dropped the
it's the
ball
library. It's the library study. But go on.
wherever he was supposed to be. He was not there, and Uncle Ben went to pick him up. I mean, because Peter decided, like I said, to go off and play instead of being responsible. Now, granted, at least in the live action movies, Batman takes 7 years off, and like you see in there what he's doing is he's learning what justice is in the rest of the world. He's learning life in the rest of the world. It's harsh, it's miserable, and it tempers him into becoming the kind of adult that he is. Now, granted, yes, he goes on, to destroy quite a bit, but Peter Parker's career from the word go was horrible. It was a failure. It was miserable. And if you're miserable as a teenager and you fail as a teenager, which is exactly what Peter Parker did, you're going to be a shitty adult. And that's exactly what Peter Parker represents, is a shitty adult. Batman represents someone who actually worked hard to find what he needed.
Hmm. There's so
Come
many
on.
holes to pick at. So many holes. Alright, number one.
But I'm right. But I'm right.
Number one. Batman's parents died because he was scared.
Batman's parents died because he was 10. What's he going to do?
You're still you can't you can't just ignore that though. He
Yeah, I can.
died because they were scared, or he was scared. So his parents took him out of the theater into some back alley.
Yeah.
So he is the cause of his parents' deaths.
No. He was where he was supposed to be. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to stay and watch the show. That's fine. He's a kid. Parents did the responsible thing and said, you know what? We're going to take our son out of here. He doesn't want to be here. He's a child. They were being good parents. Do good parents deserve to die, Nick?
I'm just saying, if you're gonna say
Do
Uncle
good
Ben
parents deserve
or
to die?
Spider-Man, if Spider-Man caused Uncle Ben's death, then Bruce Wayne caused, his parents' deaths as well. Number
Did
two,
Thomas and Martha Wayne deserve to die because they did what good parents would do?
well, no, but then Uncle Ben didn't deserve to die either. Number two,
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And again, like it's
also
this
Bruce
one bit.
Wayne is not a great adult either. I'm just saying.
No,
And
he's not. But he
he
actually
regularly,
applied himself. He
he
actually applied
regularly.
himself. He applied himself
No, no, no,
in.
no. Even after he becomes Batman, even after he becomes fully realized, he's still not a great adult.
Okay, I think since we are roughly at an hour right now, maybe this can come up next week
Maybe.
or future broadcast. I'm not exactly sure when. We'll decide between then and next Saturday. But for now,
Wait,
if
wait, wait.
anyone.
One point. So, my concluding statement, of course, Spider-Man is a great hero because he's a relatable hero. He's the everyday person. And that is why the Marvel heroes are more relatable heroes than the DC heroes. And that's why I've preferred Marvel to DC. But that's my last point.
Okay, so since you had to make your last point, I'll make my last point. Batman is fucking Batman. Batman is awesome. That's all you need to know. Batman is Batman. Okay. Anyway, um, next week we may or may not come back to this. I don't know. We may have a whole brand new topic. Who knows? It's Radio Tokyo. Anything could happen. So yeah, next week, Nick will be back. I'll be back. We may have another guest. I don't know. Anyway, Nick, would you like to say anything before we close for the night?
Just hello, everyone, and thanks for having me.
Oh, no, you're welcome. You mean you're gonna thank me? But it's
Well,
okay.
both the
Fine.
audience and you.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So see all of you next week.